What is up, everybody, and welcome back to a very exciting episode of The Building Code. I'm Charlie Burtwhistle.
And I'm Courtney Matern.
And this is episode 250. Wow! I was going to draw out that intro a bit more, but then the confetti kind of forced my hand. So if you're not watching on YouTube, this would be a great episode for you to start, as we have confetti.
Yeah.
For episode 250.
That's going to be a great visual. Make sure you tune in to the video.
Yeah, absolutely. We have balloons behind us. We have cameras all around us. We have confetti all over the table now.
There's a cake, too.
And there's a cake.
I don't know when we get to eat it, but there's a cake.
Well, maybe if this episode goes well, you know, just in the middle of the episode, that could be a cool little segment. It's like cake time. Sit down and enjoy some cake.
It.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like we're on the Great British Bake Off.
Yeah, I'd love to listen to 20 straight minutes of cake. Courtney, what are we doing? What are we doing for episode 250? You're kind of the mastermind behind the Building Code podcast. What's planned for today?
Well, today, 250 episodes of a podcast is quite the milestone. Only about 2% of podcasts ever get to 250 episodes.
Wow, rare air.
Yeah, it's rare. And so we wanted to tap into kind of the collective wisdom that we've collected over the last 5 years of our guests, our favorite builders, and even some of our internal staff who've been around the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. And I mean, the podcast has gone through, a lot of evolution. I mean, I've been here for like 2 minutes, at least behind the mic. But one thing that's stayed steady is this tremendous well of knowledge that our guests have shared, our builders who've, been honest about what struggles they faced in their businesses and been candid, and over time helped other builders be better too.
Yeah, I mean, 250 episodes is a vast pool to pull from. I always tell people when they ask, do you like doing the podcast? I'm like, yeah, I like talking to our customers, but even more so than that, like, we talk to some of the best business minds in America, especially like specifically in the construction space, but even outside of that, I constantly learn so much of how these people operate their businesses that I take home and back to the office here at Buildertrend and incorporate into my own business life. So definitely the content, if we pulled the best of the best out of 250, I'm sure the notes that we have printed out here are absolute
gotta blow the
gold.
Confetti off of my
I mean,
notes.
put some paper binder on these, make it a book of Building Code guests.
Ooh, maybe if we get to 350 episodes, we'll do a coffee table book. Is that?
Yeah,
nice.
I would love that, honestly.
We can give it out in the Building Code book club.
Yeah.
Like everybody would read that.
I mean, I would say yes to anything right now. I'm so ecstatic about 250 episodes. But you're right. You did just kind of jump in at the last second, like just for this monumental milestone. And then you'll like dip out after this, just hitting 250.
I did. I feel like I just joined the fun, like I didn't have to do any of the work. But I guess I've been behind the scenes.
You did a lot of work.
Which is probably a good time too. Like it's a good time to give a shout out to everyone who works behind the scenes on the podcast. We've got our longtime podcast editor and producers, John Beck Hoffman, who just threw the confetti at us. Chelsea Cole works on the content side along with Sean Robinson to book and find guests. We've got Emery here today from a social media team she's been a big part of launching that new TikTok. And, there are many members of the Buildertrend team that work together to make sure that this is a success.
Yeah. Thank you all. I have the easiest job in the world, so I'm very appreciative.
You get to show up.
Yeah, absolutely. Complain about some stuff, jump on the mic. And
well, we do need to talk about, I know it's episode 250, but we did just do that thing on Instagram where people got to vote which host they liked.
Oh, yeah.
Most.
That was sad.
You're the host with the most.
That was sad. Yeah.
So I feel like I've got to up my game for the next 250 episodes. But Charlie,
for the record, I voted for both.
You did?
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Well, technically, that's the answer that won.
Well, I guess.
Who cares about second or third place?
Yeah, we both are your favorite podcast hosts. Charlie, how many episodes have you been on? Do you know? Have you counted?
So I was a guest on episode 98, I remember, because I was bummed I didn't get the 100 spot. And then I joined a couple months after that. So it probably was around like 120, 130.
Do you remember what your guest episode was about?
Yeah, it was with Whitney at Snap ADU.
Oh, yeah. Did you talk about data?
No, we talked about ADUs.
ADUs?
Yeah. I'm sure there's some data mixed in there as well, too.
I feel like that's the reason we always have you around. Is like,
wait,
what do the numbers say? When you were the guest.
When I was the guest. I thought you asked the first one I recorded. Yeah, I talked about data. That's all I talked about, obviously.
Data nerd.
Yeah, it was awesome.
What's your favorite memory from your last, 100 or so episodes?
Wow, that is a great question. There's a couple obvious ones that stick out. We did an episode live at IBS in Las Vegas, which was awesome. We did an episode live at a BTU, and we did an episode live at the product and engineering internal meeting here at Buildertrend. So the 3 live episodes are always super fun. In another life, I'd love to be a stand-up comedian. So having a nice audience to riff some jokes off of was enjoyable for sure. But those are special just because of the location and the timing of it all. As far as like actual guests, so I don't think I could put any of them into a tier. They're all so unique, and I learned so much about every single one that they're all my favorites.
Well, I think the note there is like more live episodes heading into
100%. We could go on tour.
Yeah, that live episode that we did for the product and engineering team. In fact, it's in my notes because it's episode 222 is with the Tankersleys.
The Tankersleys.
That was really fun because I was still behind the scenes, and it was just fun because we brought them in to Omaha to headquarters to basically like give the product team their real hard opinions on like how the product was working. And it was really cool for the people who are building our software to get to hear from customers firsthand, in person, on stage. And it was quite the event. So that was one of my favorites.
Absolutely. And I have to give a shout out to Steve. He's in my 70 Hard group chat that we're in.
Oh, yeah. How many days in are you now?
We're at like 60 something. I don't know for sure. But
so by the time this episode airs, you will be a 75 hard graduate.
Yeah, should be done with it all. But people are always commenting about how big Steve's arms are in the group chat. So daily I have some motivation. So Steve, if you're listening to that, thank you.
So he can flex literally and figuratively with how great their business is too.
Absolutely.
Some
Courtney,
pieces of advice in here.
I think we should get into the tips, builder tips. And I saw, I'm not totally sure what we're doing today. I just kind of show up, but I saw that you have your fishbowl, which is something that you bring up more than most people do in a lifetime, the amount of times that you say the word fishbowl.
Fishbowl.
But you've been wanting this for a while.
Yeah.
We had one a couple episodes ago, I guess.
We tried it. Well, my mission has been, because I'm serious about a couple things. I'm serious about my work, but I'm also serious about having fun. If you know anything about me.
100%.
Because, life is too short. So why not just like put all these questions and these pieces of builder wisdom that we like reached out to all these builders for and, fold them up and put them in a fishbowl.
Absolutely.
And, randomize it, right?
Okay.
So
Courtney, I am all in on this fishbowl idea. I'm fidgeting with the confetti around the table right now. So don't take that as me being uninterested in the fishbowl idea.
I'm just worried that there's going to be more surprises that we don't know about. Like, is a builder going to pop out of our cave?
That'd be sweet.
They're going to be.
We hired Mark Williams to come and jump out of a cave.
With a fitness challenge. All right, I'm going to draw the first question, and then
I have some confetti ready, so when we have a good answer, I'll throw it again.
Throw the confetti again?
Yep.
So we reached out, like I said, to builders, past guests, internal staff with some questions.
I wasn't reached out to.
Well, I'm sorry.
So apparently no one wanted my advice.
We wanted to surprise you.
I'll give it live. That's the power of being behind a mic.
But I'll ask this first question. This is something we've talked about on prior episodes. Why is practicing introspection and working on your emotional cues good for your business? And I can tell you, I bet we reached out. Yes, we did, to Esty. That was one of my favorite episodes. It's not very often we get to use, as my kiddo would say, a bad word in the title of our podcast. But she talked about how not to lose your shit on the job, episode 240.
Did we put an asterisk in there, or did we just go all in?
I don't know if we have to bleep that for the podcast. But why don't you read Esty's tip?
Yeah, absolutely. Emotional intelligence is a set of skills that inform how we do everything. It's just a set of skills that you have or tools that you have. On the individual level, people that do work on these things and build these skills tend to make more money. I'll just put that out there. On average, people with higher EQ make around $29,000 a year more than people with lower EQ. But I think more importantly, it shows up in the culture. How do we interact every day? How do we handle it when someone screws up? How do we hold people accountable? And what do we reward? All these things impact how you're showing up for the customers and your bottom line.
Wow. That's a great piece of advice moving forward through like 250 more episodes.
Yeah, 100%. That was another thing that I love about all the different guests that we have in here. One that I have been focusing a lot more on recently through my career transition, where I used to kind of be like we'd make jokes on here, like hide in the dark closet and just like crunch the numbers all day with your headphones on, where I'm having, people report to me now. I'm having to interact with different counterparts across the business and really, like she says in here, it's skills that you have or tools that you have, but not necessarily that you're born with. Like it's something that you really need to be intentional about and focus on and ask people for feedback and like grow a really, really strong culture of being honest and transparent, where you can have those types of conversations, because ultimately that's the only way that you're able to get better. So I remember leaving after that episode thinking with a renewed sense of motivation for focusing on EQ, and getting that additional $29,000 isn't a bad thing.
Yeah. I'll say I try to use like EQ lessons with my team a lot. Like we practice gratitude, or we practice sacred pauses, like that moment before you react to new information, so that you can make the next best step. But to Estee's point here, it's not just to be, a nice person, which that's great. That's one of our values at Buildertrend, to be a good human. But there's, some money involved with that. There's something to gain. There's some hard numbers that can indicate success for learning those skills.
Absolutely. Can I draw the next one?
I guess.
I told you I was all in on the fishbowl here. So this is the only way. Here, I'll look right into the camera so they know that I'm cheating.
They know that you're not cheating.
Okay. This question, that means you get to read it.
Okay.
What is your approach to staying informed about new building practices and materials?
Well, this one comes from Piper. We love Piper Stromat at Boutique Living by Curate. She's also the Building Blonde. She has a podcast. She is back on episode 155, always talking about, the design experience for her clients, because she does design build. And this is really timely. Her piece of advice is attending the Builder Show in Las Vegas. It's number one for our teams, she said. She said a close second would be monitoring social media trends and communication with the representatives on new products launching. Staying on top of things is key in our industry. A big reminder, don't be afraid to ask for what's next.
Love that. I feel like the social media, I feel like the both great answers. IBS is probably the first thing that I would have thought of, is like, everybody who's anybody and any net new thing that's coming out is going to be there. Like talk to people, learn about stuff. But the social media piece is something that I use all the time, of follow people that you look up to and that you want to be like. And that's how you stay ahead of the curve, is anytime someone's doing something new, they're going to be posting about it. You can learn about it, as opposed to being in your own little silo, just trying to figure it out for yourself. Yeah.
But I love this piece of advice. It's timely because we're getting ready right now for the Builder Show in Las Vegas. It's happening at the end of February this year,
which Courtney and I will both be at.
Yeah. We're finally letting Charley leave the building.
We're going to host a little meet and greet.
He's doing such a good job on the podcast that we decided we'll let him out of the building. But Piper will be there too. We're doing a happy hour in our booth Tuesday and Wednesday, the first day and the second day of the Builder Show. So come out and meet. A lot of these builders that we got advice from will be there. So,
absolutely.
And we can keep the celebration going.
And have a drink on us. Yes. If that's your thing.
Yeah, we'll have soda, we'll have water, we'll have other bevs, but...
what other bevs?
Soda and water. Is there not another bev?
I don't know. You just said and other. I was going to put you on the spot.
Make sweet tea just for the... No, I'm not making any promises. All right, the next question. What's a small but impactful adjustment customers can make to their workflow that'll lead to business success? So this was a question that we reached out to our internal staff. One thing about Buildertrend that we really pride ourselves on is having some of the best customer success coaches in the industry, some of the best support folks. It's not just what we bring to the industry, but who we are. So we reached out to them for tips. So again, what's a small but impactful adjustment Buildertrend customers can make to their workflow that'll lead to business success?
Love that. I was looking ahead here. We actually have two answers, and I think I'm going to read them both because they are both great. The first one comes from Ryan Daniel, who's an on-site consultant here at Buildertrend. So traveling all across the nation, talking to literally hundreds of different builders in a very intensive and comprehensive 48-hour kind of event that we do with our clients. He says, specifically in the realm of managing expenses, truly defining roles and responsibilities of who handles which piece and mapping out steps to make it as simple as possible can save a ton of time and headache. I feel like that's kind of a consistent, recurring narrative that we hear from our guests a lot, is set the right expectations of what you expect your team to do and give them very clearly defined, like Ryan said, roles and responsibilities.
Who's responsible? Who's accountable? Who do you have to inform? Like a old school racy chart. If someone doesn't know that it's their responsibility, or two people think it's their responsibility, things can go haywire really fast.
Or if no one thinks it's the responsibility, it just doesn't get done, right?
Nobody does it. But Ryan, as an on-site consultant, I think he's just celebrated. He's hitting his 50th on-site.
Wow,
I think he's our longest running on-site consultant. I love talking to on-site consultants. You might remember Zach, previous host, was an on-site consultant for a long time. We've had a lot of on-sites come on to the show. But beyond just the day-to-day setup of Buildertrend, they actually get to know the business for some 60, 70 days ahead of their visit.
Yeah.
So they get to know the customer intimately. They get to know their teams. They get to know what roles they specifically have. And then they go and spend 2 full days like on site, going through your business, going through your processes, and dealing with even bigger business questions than just, how do you write a daily log? So they know things deeply about what makes a good construction business. So hats off to all of our on-site consultants. I think it's the hardest job here. Absolutely.
And some of the most attuned to our customers in the construction industry people that we have at Buildertrend that we leverage all the time for making decisions of what goes into our onboarding process, what goes into our product. Another one that's a little bit more direct from a Buildertrend application standpoint comes from Mary Osborne, who's a senior key account manager here. And she's talking about templates, which is a feature we have inside of Buildertrend. Leveraging templates to create standard operating procedures for different types of projects can be a game changer. Templates help you establish a repeatable process, ensuring consistency and reducing the chance of missteps. While they don't need to be perfect, they should act as a strong foundation that you can easily customize once applied to a specific job. Over time, refining and enhancing these templates will create a library of processes tailored to your team's unique needs, driving efficiencies and accuracy. Why I wanted to talk about that one is we have a lot of, really, boutique custom home builders who say, I can't use a template every single job. It's totally different. And something that we're really trying to preach, especially as of late, where historically that was kind of the way templates would be used, is if you're building a production, type builder or a spec home or something like that. But what she's getting at is you can have templates for specific processes. They don't need to be the entirety of a job, a specific process that you're going to do on every single job, or maybe even every other job, or a third of the time. Like, as much as you can standardize and, again, set the proper roles and responsibilities for your team on how this specific function process works, the more you'll be able to rinse and repeat, the clearer it'll be for your team. And it just continues to refine over time until, like she said, you have this very robust library of this is who we are and this is how we do things.
And I'm 99% sure the team can fact check me that Mary's been on the podcast talking about templates. It's like one of the number one features that people say, like, I love templates. I have these templates. And some of our builders have even shared, like, the team at Cardinal Crest, they have a scheduling template that you can download on buildertrend.com, so you can see, what does their process look like? Can I mimic it? But
I always forget that we have that out there. We'll definitely link that in the show notes because it's super cool.
It's age old, like, work smarter, not harder. Because Buildertrend's marketing team, we use project management software very similarly to how our builders would use Buildertrend. And the first time you go in to, like, do a process the first time, it takes a lot of work. But if you put some thought into making a template, then the next time it takes you 1 second. Instead of,
and if something changes, then you just duplicate it and add, a little something else. And now you're ready for the next time that something goes outside the kind of SOP.
I was about to draw the question.
Oh, yes, my turn.
I think you might want to.
Thank you. All right.
I'll share the fishbowl.
Drum roll, please. Thank you. Ooh, this is a long question. All right. What's a piece of advice from customers about using Buildertrend that you'd share with every new user?
Ooh, this is internal too. This comes from our staff. I love that. So Kate Vasquez, she's a senior customer success manager. Love Kate. She helps marketing out a lot by going to events, and she's done on-site consulting. But her advice is take it slow. Your business was not built in a day, and Buildertrend cannot be fully implemented into your business in a day. You have a complex business, so put the effort into growing your use of Buildertrend in manageable ways to see growth. Make sure you have a good team around you to help you take on implementing the software into your business. Dedicate time to implementing the software with your team. Without the team's buy-in, it will be difficult to see the software's true impact.
Yeah, this question has kind of been the name of the game across Buildertrend internally for really the past year or so. But focusing, with why are our customers as successful as they can be, or why are they not? Where are they failing? Where are we failing them? we took a really, really deep dive, and what we found was the number one reason that people ultimately aren't successful with Buildertrend is not getting set up in the correct way. Think that they come in, in a day and start using the system, think that they're able to do it all by themselves. They don't need to get the team buy-in. And that's kind of admittedly a little on us, because that's the way that we used to sell the platform. Was like, hey, it's super easy to use, get in, find value in your first 7 days, you're off into the races. And, we looked internally, we were honest with ourselves, we talked to our customers, and it's really the same advice can be said for any sort of change management. Throughout any sort of industry, is when you're doing something new, you have to be really, really intentional, thorough, and take time to do it the right way. And that's how we have transitioned now to onboarding and selling Buildertrend. Is like, you're not going to get up and going tomorrow. You could, and it might be really, really exciting for the first week or so, but then no one's going to buy in, no one's going to be using it, and is ultimately going to fail. So really leaning into that change management framework of how do you get your team buy-in? How do you set clear expectations and roles and responsibilities for what people will be doing in Buildertrend? How do you get them on the same page with how you're going to be using it? And yeah, Kate said it perfectly in here, is the more and more effort that you put into growing your Buildertrend use, the more and more growth that you're going to see.
Yeah, and if you've listened to me on the podcast before, you've probably heard me tell the analogy of like Buildertrend is kind of like a gym membership. Like, you actually have to use it to get stronger and get better. It's not something you just jump into and then it changes your business overnight.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah. So when people come to things like Buildertrend University, they can feel like they're drinking from a fire hose, but it's easier if you can like fill it up in little cups, chunk out what you're going to do, like on board, figure out what your pain point is, what you want to start with. We have a great video series that we did behind the business. If you're watching on YouTube, you can find it in a playlist or head to buildertrend.com. But we did a series with Morgan Molitor from Construction to Style in Minneapolis, and her team had started Buildertrend a couple different times. One time where she just thought she'd onboarded herself without getting the team's buy-in. Another time when the team wasn't, they were like, another platform.
Right.
But the third time they went in with a Buildertrend champion. They went in with a plan. They went in with, this person's going to be in charge of the financials. So she tells a great and really candid and honest story about like how to onboard with Buildertrend the right way. And also kind of reflects some of the changes that we've made here if you're interested in learning about them.
And the cool thing is, if you're listening to this and you're not a client or you've tried it in the past, just as of October 2024, we rolled out a brand new team to do that process for you. So we now have a team of setup managers whose sole focus is to make sure that you are set up for success on day zero, getting your team involved, getting all the data that you have, inputting it into the system for you, and just really make that transition as smooth as possible. So it's something we believe in, something we're double down on, and I think our customers will reap the rewards.
Yeah, for sure. Is it my turn?
It's your question time.
All right. I feel like this next one's going to be a good one. So many. All right. What insights stuck out to you most from the 2024 Sourcey report?
Heck yeah.
So this comes from a prior episode. We've had Russ Stevens on a couple of times from the Association of Professional Builders. We collaborate with them when they do this survey of the residential industry of builders like you, like everyone listening, just to find out what is, what's going on in the industry. What are you worried about? So let's look back at what Russ said in 2024. As
a data guy, I feel like we do an annual episode with Russ talking about the Sourcey report. And that's, if I could change my answer from previously at the beginning of the episode, that may be my favorite episode of the year every time.
Yeah, and it's usually one of our most popular episodes of the year. And I will, plug IBS again, but Charley and I will be talking to Russ live on stage in the Buildertrend booth during
I'm hearing about this for the first time.
It's your first time.
I'm very excited. Sweet.
You heard it here first, but we're going to do a sneak peek of the 2025 report. It'll be the first time people hear about results. So
we got the exclusive.
Yeah, we're going to hang out with Russ in person.
Your former journalistic self is popping out, and you're getting the scoop early before everyone else.
I love a scoop.
Okay, from Russ. There were two things that really stuck out, I think, when we collected the data at the back end of 2023 for this year's report. And that was that marketing remains a missed opportunity and that builders are looking at inaccurate financial reports. I guess if we start with marketing and just add a bit of substance to that claim, that means a missed opportunity. 43% of builders are still neglecting Facebook. Only 46% of builders are using a CRM system. I can remember back in the early 2000s being drummed into us as business owners that a CRM is the lifeblood of any business. Here we are 20 years later, still only less than half of builders are using a CRM. 38% of builders that responded to that survey are not engaged in paid advertising. Again, referrals are great, don't get me wrong, but it's the cream on top.
Oh, Russ is after my marketing heart with this.
There you go. Should we get some confetti going for that answer?
I love that answer. I mean, that's one thing that always stands out to me in the Sourcey reports, even from the first one we did, was as a marketer, like there's a difference between a sales problem and a marketing problem that I think only more advanced businesses can see. But I would always, builders would say, I'm worried about getting the most ideal client. I'm worried about attracting the client that is going to pay the prices that I want to charge. But then when you look at the survey results, it's like, only 10% are increasing their budget for marketing. Only 10% are investing in, I think it was half of the builders even had a website. And I know we've had website builders on talking about why that's a valuable tool for your business. And I think people forget that, while they're probably getting word of mouth referrals, there is awareness that you can build up by using marketing tools or, even capturing your leads in a CRM like Buildertrend and making sure that you're following up with the best ones in a timely manner.
Yeah. And what I love about when we talk about this topic, it kind of goes against the point I made earlier about staying atop of the latest and greatest trends, is this is a play that's been ran by, over, like he said, back in 2020, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. I think oftentimes people, and myself included, are really intimidated by a lot of the cool things that people are doing in the marketing space right now. It's like, oh, you can have this AI tool to automatically chop up your content, pump out videos. Like, what? Like, where do I start with that? But he has a stat in here, 43% of builders still neglecting Facebook. Like, just start somewhere. And with some of the people that we had on the podcast before, that was their biggest advice too, is like, you don't have to be great out of the gate. Just like we were just talking about, pick one area, focus on that for a couple of months, get it up and running, then move on to the next one. If you don't have a website, don't make the best website in the world out of the gate. Get something up and running. Yeah. Double down on what you're doing inside of Facebook. Create a LinkedIn profile. Connect with other builders there. Create an Instagram. Just take pictures of the stuff that you're already doing. You're already building amazing homes or beautiful remodels, and just start posting it. So I feel like this is a topic that often gets really, really convoluted with the bright, shiny things that are happening right now, which eventually you could work your way towards, but don't neglect, the simple things out of the box that you can get up and going in a couple months.
Yeah, that reminds me of a great quote I saw on social media, probably from someone like Adam Grant, but it was, don't worry about making it perfect, just make it exist first.
Yeah.
And marketing relies on just a solid foundation of having channels. So having a Facebook, while it might seem old school, that's where a lot of people go to search, like, does this business exist? Is it credible? That's where, moms and aunts and neighbors are referring home builders or referring contractors. And so if you don't come up in the search there, then you don't even have that foundation to put in an AI edited video. So just make your marketing exist first.
Absolutely. Love that. All right. Time for one more.
One more.
Okay. Make it a good one.
Make it a good one, Charlie.
Okay. Upside down. Here we go. What is one trend in the building industry that you think every builder should pay attention to?
Ooh.
What a great question.
That is a good question. So this advice comes from Chris and Yvonne Johnson from Reclaim Karma, a couple of my favorites out of Atlanta.
That was another great episode.
That was a good one. They have such a fun story. So go back and listen to episode 213. It was about just building in the busy season, but they have a great and inspiring story of sort of like their business started booming before they were ready, and a platform like Buildertrend having a system in place kind of helped them catch up. But one of the trends that they think all the builders should be paying attention to right now is the growing emphasis on wellness, not just in the spaces we create, but also within the teams that bring these projects to life. At Reclaim Karma, we prioritize designing environments that promote health and well-being through features like natural lighting, improved air and water quality, and materials that are both sustainable and non-toxic. These elements reflect a broader movement towards spaces that support mental and physical health. Equally important is wellness within our own team. Recognizing the industry's high stress levels, we actively work to cultivate a supportive, balanced work environment. By prioritizing mental health, fostering teamwork, and maintaining a culture of care, we ensure our team thrives, which translates into better outcomes for our clients and our projects. Building with wellness in mind creates stronger foundations for both people and spaces. That's great advice, and it comes right off the episode from a couple weeks back with Mark Williams about, taking care of yourself first as a business owner. And since that conversation, I was talking to a friend who works for the state in suicide prevention. And I didn't realize that the construction industry is one of the second highest for suicides. So I think the focus on wellness for teams and for all people is a very accurate focus right now. No wonder we're paying attention, because, if we're not taking care of ourselves, then, what do we bring to our jobs? What do we bring to our families?
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned that the episode with Mark just recently came out. It was a great one. People should check that out. But the one thing that stood out to me, and I mentioned it on there, I'll mention it again, is someone asked the question, like, what's the number one thing you can do to take care of your team and your family? And the answer kind of shocked me, because it wasn't what I typically would have thought of. It's, you have to start by taking care of yourself. Understand, what you are struggling with, commit to, trying to improve it, whether that be through, meditation or exercise or reading or journaling or all of the above. But if you take care of yourself and kind of set that example, that's creates the ripple effect for the rest of your team and the rest of your family, and fostering a culture where wellness does matter, and we do talk about things, and we do think about things, and we are intentionally trying to get better with things. So that's something that I took away from that, of like, if I want to take care of, my team and my wife, and I first have to start by taking care of myself.
Yeah. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah. Another great analogy. You're on fire with analogies today.
I love a good analogy. But before we close out this episode, I also want to thank all of our listeners, everybody who tunes in to the podcast, to all of our builders, all of our guests who've made, we're just here asking the questions, but you make it special, and you're willing to share with the industry the lessons you've learned. And I think that's what makes this industry so special, is the willingness to collaborate instead of just compete, because rising tide lifts all ships. Another analogy. I had to get one more in.
Love it. What a great note to end on. I won't yap, because that was a perfectly said conclusion to this episode. Cheers to all of you. Cheers to 250 episodes. We will see you back here. Oh,
There was more confetti.
that was just a direct hit right at me. I'm not sure if you saw that. Lars or Jordan. We'll see you back here at episode 500.
Yes.
10 years from now, or whatever that will be.
Now. Yeah, and I think now we get to eat cake.
Absolutely. Thank you all. We'll see you next time. I'm Charley Burtwhistle.
And I'm Courtney Matern.
Thanks for watching the video. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel for exclusive content brought to you by Buildertrend.